Join Kids Hut family.
Tia, let's go home. Why are you wasting time? How come you always want to do something good for others?
Tofu, what goes around comes around. If you do good, good will come back to you. And if you do bad, bad will come back to you.
What do you mean?
Let me tell you the story of a little boy called Pinocchio. Pinocchio. Once there lived an old carpenter called Geppetto. He had no family and was quite lonely. Since he was quite poor, he would find leftover wooden logs and create something new out of them. One night, he found a large wooden log and took it home. Throughout the night, Geppetto worked on the log. And carved a young boy out of it. By the time he was done with it, it was morning.
My, what a beautiful boy I have made. I wish he had a heart. Then he could be my son and I would call him Pinocchio.
A good fairy who knew that Geppetto was a very nice man overheard him, and suddenly the wooden boy spoke up.
Hello.
Geppetto was surprised but overjoyed. He hugged Pinocchio and told him that from that day he was Geppetto's son. Geppetto arranged for Pinocchio to go to school. To buy him his books, he sold off his dear chisel.
Now you can go to school like a real boy.
One morning, as Pinocchio was going to school, the evil puppet master stopped him. The puppet master wanted to own Pinocchio so he could use him to earn lots of money.
Hello, Pinocchio. Do you want to go to the Fun Island? It is a wonderful, magical place where you can become a real boy.
Pinocchio was overjoyed at the idea of going to Fun Island. He quickly started walking with the puppet master. The good fairy who had been watching over Pinocchio suddenly appeared. Seeing her, the evil puppet master ran away, leaving Pinocchio alone.
Where are you going, Pinocchio? To school, good fairy.
Just as Pinocchio said the lie, his wooden nose grew longer.
That isn't the way to the school, Pinocchio.
Afraid that he had been caught, the boy decided to lie again.
It is a new route.
With the second lie, Pinocchio's nose grew even longer. Now he was very sad and started crying.
I am sorry. I won't go to the Fun Island. I will go to school.
Seeing how sorry Pinocchio was, the good fairy did her magic and turned his nose into its normal size again. Pinocchio thanked her and dashed off to school. Once he reached school, he told all his friends about the fun island. All his friends decided to go and see this magical place. What they didn't know was that the magic in Fun Island was evil. It turned little boys into donkeys.
Oh no, we are in trouble. Everybody, run from here.
Just as the boys were figuring a way out of the island, Pinocchio saw Geppetto swimming towards the island. He had been looking out for Pinocchio all day. But to Pinocchio's horror, before Geppetto could reach him, a whale swallowed him up. To save his father, Pinocchio also jumped into the sea and went straight into the whale's stomach. There he saw Geppetto.
Pinocchio, my son.
Father, are you okay? How will we get out of here now?
Well, we must tickle the whale from inside till it throws us out.
And they started tickling the whale's stomach. Soon the whale sneezed and threw both of them out. Pinocchio helped his father and all his friends to get back to the village. The good fairy had been watching him all this time.
Pinocchio, I have seen what a good boy you have been. Jumping into the sea to save your father like that. Hence, I am giving you a heart and making you a real boy.
Pinocchio and Geppetto were overjoyed. They hugged each other and thanked the fairy as Pinocchio really turned into a real boy. Do you still think that doing good is a waste of time, Tofu?
Oh no, never, Tia. From now on, I will always do good to others. Tia, I'm getting bored. Will you please stop reading and talk to me?
Bored? How can you get bored, Tofu? Why don't you write a story of your own?
I can't think up a story, Tia, especially when I'm so bored.
Looks like you haven't heard of Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. One sunny day, Alice was sitting next to her sister while she was reading. Her sister had been reading books all morning and Alice was very bored now. She thought for a while and decided to ask her sister to stop reading. She was about to do that when she saw a little white rabbit with pink eyes run past her.
I am late. I have to hurry. I am late.
Saying so, he ran into his rabbit hole. Alice was suddenly interested in this turn of events and she decided to follow the rabbit. She went to his rabbit hole and peered down it. Suddenly, the hole gave away and Alice fell into it. She kept falling for what seemed like a very long time.
Will I ever stop falling? What kind of a strange hole is this?
At last, she landed with a thud in a big empty room. The room had 3 doors of different sizes. She saw the rabbit outside the smallest door before it closed shut. But the door was very tiny, no bigger than Alice's new pencil back home.
I must get on the other side of that door. But how will I do that? It is so small.
Then Alice noticed a small table in the corner of the room. She went to it to find a small bottle of pink potion with the label "Drink Me" on it. Next to it was a small little key, the size of the smallest door's lock.
I think this key belongs to that door. I wonder what this potion will do to me. Let me try.
And so Alice took the key in one hand and drank the potion from the bottle. Suddenly, Alice could no longer see the top of the table. The empty bottle of the pink potion became too heavy for her and fell out of her hand. She was shrinking.
What is happening to me? I am shrinking.
Once Alice was small enough to go through the smallest door, the shrinking stopped. Alice quickly ran to the door, opened it, and ran out. She found herself in the most beautiful garden she had ever seen. But she could not enjoy it because she was so tiny and all the flowers and plants were so big.
Oh, I wish I was bigger.
Hearing her, the white rabbit came to her and ordered her rather rudely,
Go to my house and get my gloves and fan.
Alice didn't know why the rabbit was so rude to her. Perhaps he didn't like being followed. Nevertheless, she decided to follow the instructions because she was curious and wanted to see the rabbit's house. When she entered the rabbit's home, she saw a yummy-looking cake on the kitchen top. It had a sticker on its plate that said, "Eat me." Alice was really hungry by now. She'd even missed lunch, so she decided to eat the cake. As soon as she took one bite, she started growing again. Soon, she would not fit into the house. She could not see the rabbit's gloves anywhere, but grabbed his fan and decided to run out of the house. As soon as she came out, she started shrinking again.
Oh no! What is this? Will I ever be back to my normal size again?
One of my mushrooms makes you grow tall, and the other side makes you shrink. Alice turned to see who was talking to her. It was a caterpillar sitting on a mushroom. She quickly ate a piece from the side he was pointing and came back to her normal size. She thanked him for his help and asked,
How do I get back home? Could you please tell me that? That path leads to the Mad Hatter and the other one to the rabbit's home.
This time it was a cat that sat in the tree that spoke. Alice thanked him and took the path to the Mad Hatter. She didn't want to meet the rude rabbit again.
I will meet you in the evening at the Queen's palace.
Halt. To go further, you must answer my question correctly.
Oh, I love riddles. Please do ask me a question.
Tell me, why is a raven like a writing desk?
Alice thought for a while, but she did not know the answer to the riddle.
Oh, I don't know the answer to your question. Could you tell me why?
The Mad Hatter was taken aback. Never had anyone asked him the answer to his own riddle.
Oh well, I don't know either. We don't know anything here. You can go ahead on the path.
Hence Alice proceeded to the Queen's castle where a game of croquet was on. The Queen was very unkind and unreasonable. If she didn't like someone, she would instruct her soldiers to be off with his or her heads immediately. Her guards had made a mistake earlier in the day, and so she had turned them into cards for the game. When the Queen saw Alice, she instructed her to play with her. You will play croquet with me, and if I lose, it will be off with the head for you.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Alice was very careful. But the Queen was terrible at the game. And Alice had to try really hard to lose. Ha! You lost. If I like, I will have your head for it. A trumpet sounded far off, and the White Rabbit hopped forward. The royal court is now in session, and you will be tried.
Tried? For what? I haven't even done anything.
You have been accused of stealing heart-shaped tarts from the Queen's kitchen. First, you don't know how to play croquet, and then you dare steal tarts from my kitchen? You should be punished. Off with her head.
This is silly. I haven't even stolen anything. I just reached the castle and started playing with the Queen.
She looked at the White Rabbit, the Mad Hatter, the Caterpillar, and the Cheshire Cat. They were all looking at her and smiling.
What is going on?
Alice felt someone tapping her arm. It was her sister. Wake up, Alice.
You fell asleep sitting next to me. It's time for lunch.
What a strange dream I had. I promise I will never complain of being bored while you read. That is such a strange story, Tia. Next time you sit to read, I too will write my own story instead of getting bored.
Okay, but I have to be the first one you tell it to. Okay, Tofu?
Yes.
Chubby cheeks, dimpled chin, rosy lips, teeth within, curly hair, very fair, eyes are blue, lovely too. Teacher's pet, is that you? Yes, yes, yes. Chubby cheeks, dimpled chin, rosy lips, teeth within, curly hair, very fair, eyes are blue, lovely too. Teacher's pet, is that you? Yes, yes, yes.
You know, my friend John stays with his cousins. Yesterday, he came late to the class and the teacher scolded him a lot. John said his cousin brothers made him finish their course before they let him leave for school. He said they always trouble him and make him do a lot of housework.
Oh no, he must feel really bad.
John is a very nice boy. He doesn't disobey anyone. He's very nice to his cousin brothers despite the way they treat him.
That is very nice of him. We should always forgive people for their mistakes. Have you heard the story of Cinderella? Once upon a time, there lived a young girl called Cinderella. Cinderella's mother had died, and so her father had married another woman who had 2 daughters. One day, Cinderella's father went to work and never returned. Cinderella was left at the mercy of her stepmother and 2 stepsisters who made her do all the work of the house.
Cinderella, it's morning already. Where is our breakfast?
Just a moment, stepmother. I am just bringing it out.
As soon as Cinderella had laid the breakfast, the stepmother and stepsister started eating it. Cinderella served her own plate too and was about to eat when her stepsister pushed her own plate away. Yuck! I hate it!
Yes, now that you mention it, it really is horrible. Mother, do something. Cinderella, are you trying to kill us? What kind of food is this?
But stepmother, I have made it the way I always make it.
How dare you argue with me? Go and make new breakfast for us. Don't you dare do anything else till we have had our breakfast.
And this is what went on in their house every day. The stepmother and stepsisters troubled Cinderella without any reason. But Cinderella loved them still and never ever complained. One day, an announcement was made in the village.
Let everybody know. There will be a royal ball at the palace tomorrow night, and the king's son, Prince Charming, will marry a maiden from amongst the guests. Everybody from the village is invited.
The whole village was excited. Even Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters couldn't stop talking about it in the house. And that is how Cinderella found out about the ball.
The royal ball! Prince Charming! The whole village is invited. I will finish my work quickly so we can all go together. Won't it be just wonderful?
You! Who said anything about you going? You will stay here and polish our shoes till you can see your face in them.
And so, with a heavy heart, Cinderella saw her stepmother and stepsisters dress up and leave for the royal ball the next day. Once they had left, she cried bitterly. Suddenly, her room lit up, and Cinderella saw the most beautiful fairy she could imagine. She held in her hand a delicate wand.
Who are you?
Get up, child. I am your fairy godmother. I am here to get you to the royal ball.
Really? I never knew I had a fairy godmother. But how will I get to the ball? I don't have anything to wear.
You don't worry about that, my child. And so, in just a few minutes, Cinderella was ready for the royal ball. As she thanked her fairy godmother and got aboard the chariot, she received a word of caution from the fairy godmother. Remember to be back home at 12, otherwise the spell will wear off. Soon Cinderella arrived at the palace. As she entered the great ballroom, everyone turned to look who this beautiful maiden was. Nobody could recognize her. not even her own stepmother and stepsisters. Prince Charming walked to her.
May I have this dance with you?
Yes, Your Highness.
And so Cinderella and Prince Charming danced together throughout the evening. Till Cinderella heard the clock strike. Fairy godmother's words came back to her. She needed to get out of there before the clock struck 12. Without saying a word, she tore away from the prince's grasp and ran out of the palace. The prince ran after her. "Wait, wait! What is wrong? Why are you running? I don't even know your name." But Cinderella dared not wait or even look back. Her beautiful gown was already turning into rags again. Her hair was coming loose from the perfect bun that the fairy godmother had made for her. She didn't even stop when one of the glass slippers came off her foot and fell in the palace driveway. She ran out of the palace gates and vanished into the darkness on a path that led to her home. Once home, she went back to polishing the shoes that had been given to her and decided never to speak to anyone about the ball. A few days later, two men from the palace showed up at their door.
The lady that Prince Charming fell in love with left behind her glass slipper at the royal ball. The prince believes that such a beautiful slipper could fit only his beloved. And so we're asking all the girls in the village to try the slipper. The one whom it fits would be the one the prince will marry. If you have any girls in the house, please ask them to try the slipper. Oh, yes, yes. I am sure it was one of my daughters. The slipper would fit one of them.
And so both the stepsisters tried to fit their foot into the slipper one by one. They pushed and pushed, but couldn't get their foot in.
Looks like it wasn't your daughter's after all. Is there any other young lady in the house?
No, there isn't. You can leave. As the king's men made ready to leave, suddenly the door of the house was thrown open. And Prince Charming himself stood there.
Who is this beautiful girl in the upstairs window? Madam, you have lied to us. I demand that the girl be called forth and try the slipper.
Yes, but she is only a servant girl. Nevertheless, Cinderella, come down here at once.
Yes, stepmother.
The moment Prince Charming saw Cinderella, he knew he had found his beloved. He took the slipper from the king's man and slipped it onto her foot himself. The slipper fit perfectly in a moment. Cinderella was once again transformed into the beautiful maiden from the night of the ball. Prince Charming took her to the palace with him.
He ordered that the stepmother and stepsisters be punished for lying to the king's men and treating Cinderella so badly and rudely.
But being the kind-hearted person that she was, Cinderella asked for them to be forgiven. The prince fell in love with her even more for her generosity, and they lived happily ever after.
Wow, Tia, how wonderful is it to forgive people? Thank you for telling me this story.
I will tell it to John too. I'm sure he will like it. Okay, shall we go home now? I think it's getting late. What happened? Why can't you sleep?
I don't know. Can you please put me off to sleep by telling me a story?
Sure, Tofu. I'll tell you one of my favorite story. The Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood lived in a hut near a forest with her mother. She always wore a beautiful red hood while going out. One day, she went to see her grandmother. On her way, she met a wolf.
Hello, where are you going?
I am going to see my granny. She lives behind that hill.
The wolf got a wicked idea. The wolf ran to Granny's house and ate her up and got into Granny's bed. After some time, Little Red Riding Hood reached the house. She saw the wolf lying in her granny's bed.
Oh, Granny, what big eyes you have!
So that I can see you better.
Granny, what big ears you have!
So that I can hear you better.
Granny, what a big nose you have!
So that I can smell you better.
Oh, Granny, what big teeth you have!
So that I can eat you better.
Oh my God! Help me! Help me!
Nearby, a woodcutter was in the forest and he heard the scream. He ran to the house just to see the wolf attacking the little girl. He hit the wolf over the head, and this made the wolf open his mouth and shout. The granny jumped out. The wolf ran away, and the Little Red Riding Hood never saw the wolf again. So Tofu, Little Red Riding Hood, was able to save herself and her old grandmother too.
Miss Polly had a doll dolly who was sick, sick, sick. She called for the doctor to be quick, quick, quick. The doctor came with his bag and his hat, and he knocked on the door with a rat-a-tat-tat. He looked at the dolly and he shook his head. He said, Miss Polly, put her straight to bed. He wrote on a paper for a bill, bill, bill. I'll be back in the morning with the bill, bill, bill. Miss Polly had a dolly who was sick, sick, sick. She called for the doctor to be quick, quick, quick. The doctor came with his bag and his hat, and he knocked on the door with a rat-a-tat-tat. He looked at the dolly and he shook his head. He said, Miss Polly, put her straight to bed. He wrote on a paper for a bill, bill, bill. I'll be back in the morning with the bill, bill, bill.
For your favorite rhymes, stories, and more, join Kids Hut family. Subscribe here.